Well, top of the top and happy MACM Thursday. If y'all tapped into this, then great. You know what I mean? You can have the information, but this training right here is for the MACM facilitators and for the future facilitators who are interested in becoming facilitators, or if you just want to know a little bit more information about facilitating and being a facilitator and how to facilitate, then by all means go ahead and stay tapped in because this is good information. All right. So first of all, when we come in and we talk about facilitation, the number one question that comes to mind is what is facilitation? What is facilitation? That is the first question that comes to mind when it comes to facilitation is what is facilitation? So facilitation itself, it is the process of making something easier. You're active listening, you're processing information. It's an efficient verbal communication between you and other parties and questioning. You know, facilitators, the definition of facilitation as it is, facil in Espanol means easy. So facilitator means to make easy. To make easy. All right. What is the sequence? When again, we're talking about facilitating, we're talking about the process, we're talking about how to make it the most effective when it comes to facilitating. What is the exact sequence for facilitating? We look at it like number one, you want to assess their group. And we have a great way of doing that in it's called our Macromingle. We're checking the maturity level of the group. We're looking at whether it's a new group, whether it's an old group, whether we have relationships with them or not. We want to know all this information before we jump into trying to do something with them. You know, wanting more, we want to make sure that we have more cohesion within the group. We want to look and see the physical abilities amongst the group as well. All right. So that's just assessing the group. And we do that one way, again, like I was saying, through our Macromingle. And our Macromingle is an activity that we just start off every session with just having conversations. That's just us ear hustling, walking around, just having conversations with the group. All right. Um, you want to accommodate to their desired outcomes as well. So you want to look at how you want to, if it's going to be a fun bonding experience, you want to do introductions. If it's going to be problem solving, trust, critical thinking, whatever that process is going to be, you want to have your goals and your outcomes laid out ahead of time. All right. Our next step, our next step is you want to determine the type of facilitation. That's the MACM activity section. All right. Where we look at whether it's the different name games, energizers, tag just to get everybody up and going. Those warm-ups are meant to create a sense of comfort and to get to know one another. You know, you can also do the icebreakers. Icebreakers is used to calm nerves, literally encourage open mindedness. All right. There's no wrong answers when it comes to the activities. And that's one thing that you want to make sure that you emphasize when we are doing these activities, especially when it comes down to the actual debrief. There are no wrong answers and we're being open minded. This results in healthy humility and humbleness. Also with the icebreakers, we're laughing, early group bonding. All those are goals that you accomplish with icebreakers. All right. If we're looking at just games, again, tag, something, those are similar to the icebreakers. You know what I mean? But more about bonding. All right. Rather than individual contribution. The icebreakers, they look at more of an individual contribution than bonding. All right. But when it comes down to the games, is more, um, it's more about group bonding. All right. The games can also be used in between activities or any downtime that you may have. It could be used to progress the group to another activity. All right. Um, team builders. Team builders, those are my faves. I love team builders, you know what I mean? And I mean, I love activities. All right. I wouldn't be doing this if I wasn't getting paid to have fun. All right. And that's the key thing with the facilitation. You will hear me say this over and over and over again. Have fun. That's the number one thing that you want to make sure that you have, that you get out of it. It's fun. If you don't want to have some fun, have all the fun. All right. You don't just have to have some. All right. But team builders, they encourage active communicating, listening, trust, problem solving, and critical thinking. It's used to reach those learning outcomes. All right. The team builders are used to reach those learning outcomes in a safe environment. Again, we let them know, we emphasize that there are no wrong answers in this space. This is a safe space to make mistakes, to say something wrong, to come and get it corrected. All right. We're looking at the process, the what and why it doesn't matter. This is a step-by-step process to getting your goals accomplished. You want to make sure that you follow a process, that you follow the system. And that's very important, is the system. When it comes down to playing chess, when it comes down to the opening principles, that's a system. Control the center of the board, develop your pieces, protect your king. That is a system when it comes to the opening of chess. All right. Follow that process, especially if you're early learning. If you're early learning in this process, you want to follow the system step by step. You don't want to go ahead and, you can. I'm not going to say you can't, but you can go ahead and go about it your way. But 9 times out of 10, if you're just now starting, it's not going to go as according to plan. All right. So that's why we're doing this as well. Observations, observing the group, their interaction and their individual contributions. You want to make sure that you take note of all of that as the facilitator. You don't want to get so put into the activity that you forget your place, that you forget your role, that you forget that you were the facilitator. Having fun, yes, please have fun, but also please be mindful, please be observant. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? What do you feel? The thing is, with activities, if you're having fun, it's going to accumulate some heat. You're going to feel that. You're going to smell these youth having fun. All right. You're going to hear the laughter of the youth having fun. You're going to see all the smiles, everything from all the activity, all the engagement from the activity, just from your observations. So you want to make sure that you use your observations to the fullest extent. And trust me, this part is exhausting. This is the exhausting part for the facilitator, but it is essential to the group's reflections and experience. And that's, the activity is great and all that, but the debrief is where we get the lessons from. The debrief is where we get the is where we get the most from the activity. You know what I mean? Oh no. Okay. Looking at important concepts when it comes to facilitating. No, go back. Okay. All right, I'm good. All right, I'm good. All right, again, looking at important concepts when it comes to facilitating. The thing is, with facilitating, you want to have different ways to facilitate and different ways to engage folks. One way to engage folks is challenge by choice. I know some of y'all may have heard of it, some of you may have not, but I'm challenged by choice. It just basically means, you're getting the participants there, they are free to participate. All right. If it is incredibly outside of their comfort zone, or if there's a physical concern, the participants may ask to sit out, and that is fine. That is okay. But the facilitator is responsible for keeping that participant engaged. All right. And that could look like many things, different ways. You can be an active listener, all right, or an active observer who shares their perspectives, later. Doing nothing is not an option. You can't sit there and do absolutely nothing. All right. But at the same time, as the facilitators, do not shy away from encouraging them to participate and really step outside of their comfort zone. And again, participation levels is there's a wide range when it comes to participation levels. Number one, if we're doing a trust activity where the students have to climb on top of a ladder, you know what I mean, turn their back and then fall back into those who are catching them, some of the youth may just be like, I'm scared shitless and I don't want to have my back to people. I don't feel comfortable leaning back into people's arms who I barely know. So, we take it to different levels. Again, one step could be take one step on a ladder. You know what I mean? Another step, 3 steps on the ladder. One step could be just stepping on the ladder itself. That's participation. One step could be just stepping up and turning around, turning your back to the people, and then turning back around. That's participation. We gonna have a conversation about what is keeping you from fully engaging. All right. You want to maintain group engagement, encourage and support. That is huge. All right. Empathy. Again, I look at compassion and empathy in the same realm, but empathy is not sympathy, as in feeling bad for someone. You're rather putting yourself in someone else's shoes. You're interpreting someone else's feelings and trying to relate and understand to why climbing up a stairs or why having your back turned to people have you feeling this kind of way. So instead of saying, instead of making the hurt individual, you know what I mean, feel worse, we make them feel heard, respected, and considered. We say things instead of saying breathe, you know what I mean, or man up, you know what I mean. We say, when I get in my feelings or when I get in my feel goods, I take a few deep breaths to keep calm, or rather than man the fuck up, you can use, I can see you are really tight right now. You know what I mean? Just different language when it comes to facilitating and when it comes to empathy and putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. Integrity. You want to make sure that you mention these during debrief, during active observing, and active observing, you know what I mean, is during the activity where you're asking the youth, okay, you'll stop everything. What do you observe? What do you see? What do you hear? All right. And again, one of the key things is integrity, doing something, doing the right thing, even when nobody is watching. Honesty makes, honesty, making ethical and moral decisions is and if it's typically helping the greater good versus your own personal gain, that's where it comes down to integrity, honesty, making ethical and moral decisions. You're looking for something that's going to benefit the whole group and not just yourself. You're not looking to cheat, and you're not being okay with somebody else cheating. Those that does not show integrity. All right. And it's okay to it's okay to let somebody else know in your group, like, man, that's not solid. You know what I mean? That's suspect, actually. All right. Let's look at these facilitation tips now. When it comes down to facilitation, patience is key. You want to give the group time. All right. There's no activity should have an allotted time. But considering that we have allotted time frames for sessions and workshops, We have to make sure that we have the appropriate time for the activity so that we can move along with our agenda. But at the same time, too, also take note that whatever you plan may not go as according to plan. All right. And that's fine. You may want to spend a whole hour doing the activity because you see that the youth are getting so much more out of this activity. You can see how engaged they're in while participating in this activity. You can also see that they're being encouraged while in this activity as well. If you are pressed on time, cut off the activity and commend their progress. Again, the activity is great, it's phenomenal, but the debrief, that is where we get the most out of the activity. That is where we get the most out of the participants. We don't want to have an activity and not debrief. We don't want to not discuss the conversation or what just happened during that activity. It's crazy, but don't give away the answers. All right. You don't want to tell the group the answer. You don't want to tell them the trick, the way you would have done it, or anything like that. It is their experience, not yours. This is for them, not you. All right. Again, let me say this is for them, not you. All right. It's not your turn to give the answers. Plus, they may find a more ingenious or creative way to the activity. And trust me and believe me that is common. A lot of times, me doing activities, I notice something that you do differently than I would have done. And it's not a wrong answer. It's not something, it's just something different. All right. And they still figure it out. They still get it answered, period. All right. Use empowering words. They are contagious. You know what I mean? You can do it. You can do it. use encouraging words. You know what I mean? When it comes to facilitating. Again, I said this before in our first training. Know your space. Know who you are in the space that you were in. Do not overtalk for the sake of hearing your own voice. Whew. Let me say that again. Do not overtalk for the sake of hearing your own voice. Remember, you are the facilitator. All right. You are not necessarily part of the group. They have their own identity and you have yours. If you are part of the group initially, still be aware of your space and give them their experience. Always let them have their experience. All right. Facilitation takes practice. You're not just going to think that, oh, this is easy. I can do this. I know how to facilitate. I mean, you may, but at the same time, doing it effectively takes practice. Make healthy mistakes, take chances, experience. Learn from this process. But like I said as well, key thing is have fun. You always want to make sure that you have fun. If you're not having fun, then I don't know why y'all are facilitating. I don't know why you would put yourself in a situation or in a room to or in a space to not have fun. That's mind blowing to me. Have fun. Have the fuck out of fun. You know what I mean? That's the key thing. Please have some fun. Have all the fun. Don't just have some fun. Have all the fun. Intimate. The planning stages. Planning stages when it comes to facilitating. You want to look at your who. Who is your group? What details do you know about your group or who's going to be in your group? You want to know the goals. What is your goal? Your outcomes for the activities for the group. You want to have short and long-term goals. What is your activity type? Are we going to do some icebreakers? Are we going to do some trust activities? Are we going to do some focusers? What are we going to do? List your idea for debriefing. All right. What processing questions do you plan to use? And we'll go over the processing questions on the next slide, just so y'all can see the different flow when it comes to different processing questions. All right. But that's pre-facilitation. That's what you want to think about before you go into facilitating. After, that's debrief. Again, I like to do active debriefing, flash active observations, and I also do a post debrief. And it's very important that you look at the observations. What did you observe from the group? What did you observe from yourself? And the facilitation. You always want to make sure that you take note of not just the participants, of not just the activities and a whole agenda, what's going on, but yourself. You want to see how you can make improvements for the next time. You want to take note on what didn't work. You want to take note on what didn't work so you can improve for the next time. So now when we come down to, again, the helpful and fun debrief questions, all right, we're looking at there's when it comes down to a debrief, again, the debrief, that's the most important part of an activity. All right, the fun is great. It's phenomenal. It's essential. But the debrief is just as critical. All right. So when we're looking at debrief questions, you know what I mean? Instead of just asking somebody, well, well, tell me something, or what did you see, or just the most common debrief questions, switch it up. You know what I mean? You can go with but what if you did know type of situation, looking at if someone answers a question with, I don't know, don't let them off the hook. Don't let them off the hook. You can challenge their thinking with, I don't know. You can challenge their, I don't know. All right. This works 99% of the time. But what if you did know? Where would that put you? How would you make your next move your best move? How would you help uplift the community as a whole if you did know? We can look at another debrief question as a frontline headliner. You know what I mean? In terms of, you want to give the group, let's say, about 3 minutes to brainstorm after the activity. All right. Each participant is to create a headliner. You know what I mean? Like if you read the news or if you pop open your phone and stuff like that, and boom, it's just right there. Describing, announcing, or illustrating their experience so far. All right. What a read. I forgot how it go. You know what I mean? I forget how it go. It'll come to me. But encourage them to describe it as a front page headline on a newspaper, aka a short, sweet slogan with an engaging photo. You know what I mean? That clearly describes their experience. This activity allows for creativity, energy, and personalization. All right. So there's, again, emphasizing there's no wrong answers opens the door for more dialogue. All right. Miracle question. Miracle question, something like, if tomorrow, let's say you woke up in your ideal world, how would things look within your group with you as a team player? If your organization or group, etc., you know what I mean, was at its best. All right. What would that look like? Miracle question. I like one of the best ever processing questions. All right, and it's something simple like, when you were at your best in this last activity, individually or as a group, you know what I mean? It don't matter. What was happening? You want to look at when you were at your best. What was happening? What were the components that made it your best? What did it look like? Was people smiling, laughing? Was everybody having fun? Was nobody engaged? What was the outcome? All of that, looking at the processing questions. And my favorite is the one word go arounds. You know what I mean? Have the group just sit in a circle or popcorn around, give them a moment to think of one word that describes their experience for the day. All right. Fun, amazing, thrilling. Oh shit. Wonderful. Although, I hope it's all those things. Sometimes in a group, you're gonna get some boring, You might not even get no responses. All right. Challenge the group to be more creative. Don't share with them words, but help them find ways to set the tone for their own words, such as like unity, communication, trust, integrity, instead of just fun, thrilling, amazing, you know what I mean, etc. You know, you want to have them give you a thumbs up once they have their word. All right. Once you give them time, come up with their word, let them know, like, give me a sign once you got your word that describes your feeling for this activity, or how you felt overall. It could be a power to the people, however you want to do it. If you have the time, ask them to describe why they chose that word. Again, we can dive deeper and deeper into these conversations with the level of facilitation. You know, and again, the facilitator's job is to get all of that out. The facilitator's job is to make it easy on the participants. You know, so let's look at it for example. You can ask, how does it relate to your experience at, you know, let's say the ropes course, or at the ballpark, or at the gym, you know, during this activity? How does it relate to real life, you know, in school, at home, on a church? If you are pressed on time, again, if you are pressed on time, ask for the one word only, one at a time. You don't want to have everybody scream out at the same time. But you also want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to speak if they are wanting to share. All right. I like the scale question as well. You know, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being, fuck this, I ain't gonna never do it again. 10 being, oh man, I had the most fun I've ever had. I can't wait to do this again. You know, you can do it on that scale. You know what I mean? Where your energy, your level of trust, your feeling of of achievement, etc. You know what I mean? Give them that scale. All right, on why their energy was this, or why their level of trust was this, or why the feeling of achievement was this. And again, if we have time, ask why. Ask why. I love a why question. I love a good why question. You know what I mean? A good why question. Think, pair, share. You know, some people call it triads, diads, whatever it is. You know what I mean? If you want to pair off in 2s or 3s, it's up to you. All right. But you want to have them discuss in small groups, you know, what they got out of the activity. And then when we come and bring it back to the big group, that's when they share their findings. So you want to think about what you're going to share. All right. You're going to pair up with somebody, and then y'all are going to share it out to the group. There's other generic but powerful debrief questions. You know, what was your photo moment? How do you feel about what we just finished? Who helped you the most? How were our leadership skills? How is, you know, like holding a real job, working with others? You know, how was, you know, just basic generic debrief questions. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm gonna stop there. You know what I mean? But what we're gonna do is, hold on. Okay, yeah. So now our next step is, what each of the facilitators are going to do is, I'm gonna assign them an activity. All right. I will assign you an activity. With your activity, your job, not your job, but you're gonna come up with, again, we're gonna do these activities in the office when we come down to our training on Monday. All right. Everybody's gonna do an activity. They must change at least one thing about the activity to make it their own, whether it's a simple word that's in the activity, or a simple movement that's in the activity. They must change at least one thing about the activity to make it their own. All right. You're going to answer your planning questions. You're going to be creative and have fun with your approach. Each person or each group, well, we're sticking with individuals, so each person will facilitate their activity, including a brief reflection after the activity is completed. You're going to answer your post-facilitation questions, and you're going to close with a debrief, you know what I mean, with a large group reflection. All right. So I will send each of the facilitators their activity that they will be responsible for facilitating next week. All right. If y'all have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out and ask me. Please do not hesitate to let me know what questions you may have. All right. Our next training, we will be working on and we will be discussing more of our MACM 7 laws to effective facilitating. All right. We do have 7 laws to effective facilitating. All right. That's all I got. You have a good one. All right. If every MACM member was just like me, what would this world be? Peace.